Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is I've got 5 cities. Now, these aren't just your ordinary, average, run of the mill cities. These are 5 banging cities. Now, I'm someone who has traveled quite a bit. I mean, I travel from time to time for work. Um, at my leisure, I have some cities that are my favorite cities, but I like to travel. I really do, and I like going different places, particularly places that I have not been before. And if I go somewhere that I've been before, I like to experience different things and do different things that I've done than I did the time that I came there before. So, that being said, I'm going to give you 5 cities that I've never been to. And I know some of these are probably going to surprise you. Let me just get this out the way by saying that, like, my 2 favorite cities to go to are, other than the city in which I live, Atlanta, my 2 favorite cities, New York and LA, hands down. Like, nothing's touching either of those 2 cities for me. And I love both cities for different reasons. New York is 1, LA is 2, and LA is a close second. But yeah, I love both cities, been multiple times. The plan is to go back to both here in the near future, like within the next year. That's the plan. And I think if you go to New York or you go to LA, I don't want to be there for like, if I can't be there for like a week, I don't want to go. Like, because there's so much stuff to do in New York. There's so much stuff to do in LA. Like, you just can't. 4 or 5 days just ain't enough. I need at least 7. But anyway, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I made mention of one of the cities that I'm going to talk about, and I mentioned that I had not been. And they were really, really surprised that I hadn't gone. And, I don't know. People travel and they do different things. And I kind of have a reason, or maybe not, for not going. But anyway, let's get to the 5. And these are in no particular order. Number 1, Miami, Florida. That's right. Miami, Florida. I have never been to Miami. Now, I know that you're probably looking at your speakers right now like, what do you mean? Like, what guy has not been to Miami? And here's the thing. I'm from the South. So, like, Miami literally isn't that far. I guess it's like, what's it, about 2 hours? 2-hour flight from Atlanta. And honestly, I had planned on going with some of my boys a couple of years ago. And that was the talk. And we were going, and then we weren't going. And I got, I don't, what's weird is Miami is one of the few places where, like, I don't have any people in Miami. Like, I got people in New York. I got people in LA, and not just family, but like friends. Like, I don't have any friends that live in Miami. But I plan, and like, don't get me wrong, I have teammates and I know people that, like, for instance, my boy Juan lives in New York. Juan goes to Miami all the time. In fact, Juan and I talked about going to Miami together, but it seems like every time Juan goes to Miami, he neglects to tell me. And he hits me up like, yo, I'm in Miami, son. I'm in Miami. I'm like, bro, why you ain't tell me you was booking a trip? But we may go. We may go kick it together. if I don't, go by myself. But no, I never been to Miami. Never been. Looking forward to going. I do plan on going. Very soon. Just to get away. Miami is a place I want to do for a couple of days. I want to experience the culture. I want to experience the food. There was a point in time in my life where I wanted to experience the nightlife of Miami. Man, I ain't got to do all that. Cause I'm not about to pay like $400 to get in the club, and they playing Uzi Vert B-sides in the club. Nah, man, I don't want to hear that. Nah. If I'm gonna pay to get it, and I don't do clubs like that anymore. But if I could find a lounge or something where my speed, where I can get my 2-step, couple of drinks, and take it to the crib, then that's cool. I can do that. But I don't know, man. Miami is gonna be it's definitely gonna be a trip for sure. I contemplated, trying to do a fellas trip again, and who knows, we might do it. We just might do it. But nah, man, never been to Miami. Never been to Miami, but that's gonna change. Number 2, and again, these are in no particular order. Las Vegas, Nevada. I know you're really staring at your speakers now. Nah, man, I've never been to Vegas. Never. The crew, we actually tried to plan a trip. It was going to be a fellas trip, and we were going out there to play golf. Because full disclosure, I don't gamble. So, will I gamble? If I went to Vegas, yeah, I would gamble. Because that's like going to the beach and not getting in the water. Who does that? So no, I don't. Even though I don't gamble, I would specifically take some money, to gamble, and then once that money's gone and depleted. Because here's the thing: I'm not into losing money. I hate to lose money. I don't want to throw away money. I don't want to waste money. But I do believe in going to Vegas and having a good time and hitting casinos and shows and all of this stuff like that. So, everybody that I know, almost everybody I know has been to Vegas. I'm the lone ranger when it comes to that. Have not been to Vegas yet. But I will be going very soon. I hope to get to Vegas. I hope to get to all of these cities within the next calendar year. So a year from now, at the time of this recording, that's the plan. I plan to hit Vegas, and I believe in speaking things into existence. So Vegas will be on the calendar next year or this year or whenever. But no, for no particular reason, have not been to Vegas. But it seems like a cool place. It seems like a place that I think when I go, you don't necessarily want to go in the summertime because it's 1,000 degrees, but you also don't want to go in the wintertime either because I'm sure it gets very cold at night. So, spring or fall would be the move. So look out for that. And again, Vegas is now. I know I could do Miami by myself. I think I would want to do Vegas with at least one of my boys. My wife, she's been, so we can go, don't get me wrong, but I think, Vegas, I think that's one of the joints you got to kind of do by yourself. And she's been to Miami too. So, and she went with a girl. So I don't know. I actually could, let me take that back. I could do Vegas by myself. I can pretty much go anywhere by myself. I'm not one of those people I got to have a bunch of people with me so I can feel safe. I ain't with all that. I know where to go. I know where not to go. And I'll touch bases with people in the city who can tell me where not to go and what not to do. And I'm never one to walk around looking like a damn tourist. So yeah, Vegas can and will happen. Number 3, Seattle, Washington. Never been. Never, ever have been. I really don't have a particular reason as to why. But Seattle always struck me like as a cool place, like a place that you could just go kick it and just cool out. Like, I know, it rains a lot or whatever. But it always struck me as a place where you could just kind of kick it. Like it seems like a real laid back kind of kick it type city. I was actually chopping it with my boy Manny Fresh. Not Manny, not Manny Fresh from the Hot Boys, but my boy Manny Brown. And Manny was saying, Manny's from that area. Well, he lives in that area, I should say. And he reminded me that the baseball All-Star game is this year is in Seattle. That might not be a bad move. That might not be a bad move. Hitting Seattle in the summertime for the Major League All-Star weekend, that ain't a bad move, man. That ain't a, you know what, let me write this down. All right, let's do Major League All-Star game. I need to look at tickets. Plane tickets and hotels. Yeah, so, and I know if I come out there, I know I could see Manny and kick it with him. But yeah, it's Seattle, never been. And I know a couple people that live out there that I'm real cool with. So, I could, see them and tap in with them and see where to go or whatever like that. I would love to hit Seattle and check out a Seahawks game. If for no other reason, I want to be in that stadium when that stadium is rocking, because that stadium seems and sounds so loud on TV. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not a Seahawks fan or anything. I just want to check out a game there. I think that'd be real dope. But it's either got to be in the summer or the early fall. I don't want to do cold. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to travel somewhere where it's cold, where I can be miserable. I would prefer to go somewhere where it's warm when I travel. Now, yeah, I know I mentioned New York earlier, but if I go to New York, if and when I go to New York, it's in the spring or the summer. Never in the winter. Ever. Not doing that. Speaking of cold places, number 4, Chicago, Illinois. Now, here's a caveat. I know I said that these cities that I haven't been, technically I have been to Chicago, but I was 2 years old. So that doesn't count. My late Uncle Sonny, shout out to Uncle Sonny. My Uncle Sonny lived in Chicago, and he worked and he had a church. He was a pastor on the South Side, I think. And he had that church for years. And when I was like 2 years old, he took me from New Jersey to Chicago. And I think I spent like a week there. My mom tells the story all the time about me in Chicago, and there's pictures of us in Chicago, but like me being 2 years old, I don't remember that. So technically I've never been to Chicago, but I want to go to Chicago and check it out, man. My boy Rodders Live is out there. Shout out to Rodders. I know some people out there, and Chicago just seems like a real chill spot. Real chill, real smooth. Not, the Wild Hunteds or the places where they be shooting at. But downtown, it seems real picturesque, and I'd like to check it out. So Chicago's definitely on the list, and obviously summertime. That's it. Like, I'm not trying to do fall. I'm not trying to do spring, because Chicago can get snow in the spring and in the fall. So no, I'm not doing it. Got to be the summertime. So let's pencil Chicago in for this summer. Hopefully, God willing. And last but not least, number 5, San Diego, California. Never been. San Diego reminds me of a real laid back, sexy kind of place. My boy Jay Fresh, who you've heard me talk about on this podcast before, one of my best friends growing up. Jay Fresh lives in LA. Jay Fresh goes to San Diego all the time. He swears by it. He swears it's great and the weather's great. He also said that the women there are great, but I mean, it does nothing for me, but but he loves San Diego. I mean, which is kind of weird because he lives in LA. I'm like, why would you leave LA to go? But he goes down there just to kick it sometimes. But yeah, I've never been, and I've always wanted to go. I've heard great things. I've heard things about the real estate market out there, which I wanted to take a look at because I think if you can find something out there relatively priced, within your price range, now is a great time to buy. But I don't know. But no, I've never been to San Diego either, and San Diego seems like a real chill spot that I think I could go kick it at. Of course, it's near water. I mean, here's the thing. You can't lose going near, at least for me, you can't lose when you go to the water. It doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, Miami, you got water. San Diego, you got water. Chicago, you got lakes that don't count. But, it's cool, man. It's cool. And it's like, those are the 5 cities that I would like to go to. I mean, like, off the top, those are the 5 cities that I would like to go to. Every place else, I think, that I could probably pinpoint on the map that you can think of, I've been. I mean, of course, if you're talking California, been to LA. Never been to San Francisco, but it doesn't crack my top 5. Colorado, never been to Denver. Really no reason to go outside of the summertime. Let me think. What else? Texas. Been to Dallas. Been to Houston. Shout out to H-Town. Been to New Orleans. I've been to Minneapolis. Beautiful city. I would suggest go. I actually lived in Minneapolis for a year. I would definitely suggest going to Minneapolis in the spring and the summer. Beautiful place. In the spring, once the weather breaks, because if that weather don't break, you're in trouble. Where else? Never been to Oklahoma City. Don't really have a desire to go there. Never been to Omaha. Been to Indianapolis. Nice city. Where else? Coming down nowhere. Oklahoma City. I'm trying to think of the major cities. St. Louis. St. Louis is really, really dope. Really, really dope. Shout out to my boy Dig Game out there. St. Louis is dope. Where else? I mentioned Minnesota. Never been to Detroit. The D probably is just on the outside of my top 5. Yeah. I'd go, and I know what you're probably thinking. Well, who wants to go to Detroit? Man, Detroit seems like I would want to go to Detroit just for the history. It seems like a real cool place, at least from what I've heard and the people that I know. And shout out to my boy Beezy, Beezy 430. He's from the D. He lives here. In fact, B doesn't live far from me. I mean, everybody I know that's been to Detroit, they love it. But never been. I'd like to go there at least for the history. What else? I said Indy. Never been to Cleveland. Not high on my list. Never been to Buffalo. Not high on my list. Never been to Pittsburgh. Not high on my list either. Of course, I've been to Philly. Boston, never been. Probably won't ever go. I don't like Boston. The only thing I like out of Boston is the baked beans. That's it. New York City, of course. AC. Have I ever been to Atlantic City? Never been to Atlantic City. Never been to AC. So maybe. Philly's dope. Of course, DC. Love DC. Almost moved to DC like two or three times. Like came real close to moving to DC. And I've never ruled that out as far as there ain't too many places I've moved to, but DC's one of them. What other city? Charlotte's dope. Of course, been to Charlotte a gazillion times. Durham, Raleigh, Greensboro, all dope cities in North Carolina. VA, Richmond, been to Richmond. Richmond's cool. Have not been to Virginia Beach, Hampton. Sorry, Zell. You know, that probably should be number one on my list because my boy Zell, you've heard him on here. My boy Easy Does It VA. He's been on here a couple of times. Like he still gives me grief about not coming to Hampton. That's where he went to school, and so I haven't been, but I'm coming, man. I'm coming. Before we get out of here, what other cities? Of course, I've been to all the cities in South Carolina. That's where I'm from. Florida. Never been to Tampa. Been to Orlando, and of course not Miami. Been to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's cool. Atlanta. Yep. Birmingham. Yep. Never been to Jackson, Mississippi. Probably won't go. Never been through Biloxi. Never been to Biloxi. And I guess the only other city that I haven't mentioned that I haven't been to is Honolulu, Hawaii. Never been to Hawaii. That'd probably be in my top 10. So yeah, maybe one day. Well, you've heard my top 5. Do me a favor. Hit me up on social media and let me know your top 5 cities that you've never been to that you want to visit. And we'll talk about it. But hey, that's going to do it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. The podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.